are there some surprises about the design that you can share, kind of exactly what we'll see when the project wraps?
Well, I think going to a place like a museum, experiencing art should be awe-inspiring. It should be an experience unlike one that people have every day, and it should be something that's very special. And certainly, when the Art Center selected Studio Gang out of Chicago as its architect, we wanted an awe-inspiring building, and so the building itself will be a work of art. I think when people see the building, they'll be surprised by the size and scale of it. The footprint itself is about 137,000 square feet, or the total square footage is about 137,000 square feet. So it's quite a bit larger than the previous building. But really, when you walk in, the entire lobby space, really the entire main corridor of the Art Center is filled with light. It's bright, it's welcoming, it's intuitive. And really, a lot of the spaces that we're creating, they're not only spaces for art, but spaces for people. We want people to feel comfortable when they come into the Art Center. We want them to feel welcomed. And we want them to use it as a place to hang out, too. So many times in the museum field, we hear how it's cost prohibitive for people to go to a museum because it's a high entrance fee. And we remain committed that the Art Center will be free. And so we hope when people not only come in and see art and see a performance or make art, they're awe-inspired, but we hope they're awe-inspired when they see the building and the grounds as well.
You're adding about 20,000 square feet of new space, I believe, to the footprint. But then you've got the old 1937 Art Deco facade of what was the Museum of Fine Arts, as I think it was then known, as a key feature of the design. So how does that figure into the overall piece? Is that sort of the centerpiece of what we're doing there, or is that a new signature piece, or how would you describe that?
Well, we're actually adding a little over 40,000 square feet to the square footage. So
Wow,
it is quite it's quite a bit bigger.
Okay.
But, I think the thing about the 1937 facade is it was when the Art Center opened in 1937, it was called the Museum of Fine Arts. And it was the only arts organization and the largest arts organization in the area, in the community. And because of that, we have a legacy, we have a history. Throughout the decades, the Art Center has been collecting art, and we have a collection of about 14,000 works of art. And that doesn't happen overnight. And so to be able to mark our legacy by preserving this facade, to be able to use the facade as our primary north entrance to the Art Center, I think is a pretty special thing. And I will reveal a little surprise about the 1937 facade. So when you walk through those doors, you will be met by a 2-story lobby that will really, I'll use the term awe-inspiring, but it'll really, I think, be very impressive for people to see the size and the scale of that space. There'll be some side mezzanines where people can sit and people can look at the art that we'll have on view in that 1937 lobby. But that period when in the 30s, when that facade was built, really the proportions of the space are so beautiful. And it's that Art Deco period where you see that real stylized lettering on the front, and there's reliefs carved in the front that give you a sense of what's inside, because of course they're works of art in and of themselves. So I think it's going to be a very special entrance. And then of course the other primary entrance will be our south entrance, which will be 100% 21st century Studio Gang design. And given the signature roof line that I think many people have seen, those renderings where you have that kind of almost zigzag effect of the roof line, you have the glass that's underneath the roof line. You really get a sense of the where we've come from in 1937 to where we are in 2022 when we open our doors to the public.
How will the museum appeal to new generations of patrons, but then also deal with this post-COVID-19 world that we know nothing about right now? We don't know what that's going to look like. But it could be that social distancing might be a greater consideration. How is that design going to square off with all of that?
When we designed the cultural living room, which is a large open space designed for events, designed for gathering, with 4 sides of glass, we really hope that that's a space that people will want to gravitate to. We really hope that that's a place that people will want to spend their time. And certainly thinking of the way that we socialize now, we may need to rearrange the furniture in a different way. We may need to adjust our capacity, but we definitely hope that we continue to be that gathering space.
How has COVID-19 and then the restrictions surrounding the outbreak affected the planning and construction so far?
I would say, other than the fact that it's restricted travel for our architects and some of our key team leaders on this project, we really have not skipped a beat. There has been, as I said before, some concern about getting the materials that we've needed, but we've really been very fortunate. And our materials are getting to us. Our workers continue to move the project forward at the job site. Our subcontractors continue to come in. In fact, at the very beginning of COVID, back in March, there were some construction projects that had to close down. And because of that, we gained some workers. So we really had this very unique momentum going. And, remember, we have such a big project. So we can have crews working on the north, south, east, west side of the construction site, and everything is really moving forward at a pretty fast clip. Now, I say all of this, and there's still some unknowns. And so I would say that we will have a much better idea of our exact opening date in 2022. We'll have a much better idea of that probably in the fall. There are still a few unknowns. We had a couple of shipments that were coming from Europe, and we were concerned that they weren't going to be able to, or they were going to be so delayed that it was really going to hold up our timeline. And fingers crossed. But right now they're all on schedule. So we're feeling really good about where we are with the construction.